Hello, dear students. Welcome to the online lectures for BA Part 3 Students of English Literature. In this video, we are going to study the remaining part, half part of the poem Don't Call Me Indo-Anglian, written by Sayyid Amanuddin. And as we have discussed before in the previous videos, that in this poem, the poet Sayyid Amanuddin denounces being addressed as an Indo-Anglian. He designates this word and he feels himself illegitimate when somebody assigns him as Indo-Anglian, and it aborts his identity as an individual. This poem shows his aggression, frustration, and repression of anger. He denounces all pseudo labels and label makers. He says that he did not want to confine himself to his childhood scenes. And now we are going to study the text of the poem. As you students can read the poem and explain to you. But I am not tied down to my childhood scene. I have led languages by their ears. I have twisted creeds to force the truth out. I have burnt candles in the caves of prejudice. I have searched in the oceans of being. I have flown across the universe on the wings of my thought. As I have told you that this poem shows the aggression and frustration of the poet being called as an Indo-Anglian. So in this stanza, the poet wants to say that he doesn't want to confine himself to his childhood scenes. He had flown across the universe on the wings of his thought in search of the truth by knowing languages and their creeds, and kindled the candles of wisdom in the dark caves of prejudice. So, if we talk about the vocab or the simple English words that is used in the poem, you can literally make the meaning of the lines. As in this stanza, the poet wants to convey the idea that he simply doesn't want to confine or to prison himself in the childhood scenes. He says that I have led languages by their ears. Their means the people who have assigned him the title as Indo-Anglian. So he is saying that I have led languages by their ears. I have twisted creeds. Means he has much explored the religions to force the truth come out. And in the next line he says, I have burnt candles in the caves of prejudice. Means he has done a lot of research work to kindle the dark caves of prejudice. Here you can imagine the imagery that is used by the poet. And in the next line he is saying, I have searched in the oceans of being. I have flown across the universe on the wings of my thought. Notice the word my thought. Here the poet himself creating an idea that he has flown across the universe on the wings of his thought. Means he is very capable to know about the universe, and he is very proud on the activity that he, on the basis of his own knowledge, he tried to know, to comprehend the universe. In the next stanza he is saying that they call me Indo-Anglian, the mistaken, misinformed folk. Now he is denouncing the people as mistaken and misinformed folk, and class me with a small group of writers, cloistering me, crippling me. Cloistering means secluding me, and crippling me. I would rather roam with Kalidas and Kabir, or go on a spiritual journey with Dante. Here, the poet is blaming the kind of folk that he is labeling as mistaken and misinformed, and he is saying that those people class me or group me with that small group of writers who are called Indo-Anglian, and he is saying that they seclude me by saying that I should roam with Kalidas and Kabir. Kalidas, who was an ancient Sanskrit author, classical Sanskrit author of 5th century, and is often considered ancient India's greatest playwright and dramatist. Whereas we talk about Kabir, Kabir was a mystic poet and saint who was born in 15th century, and he influenced Bhakti movement. So he is saying that those the people who label me as Indo-Anglian, they try to convince me that I should only roam with Kalidas and Kabir or go on a spiritual journey with Dante. Dante was an Italian poet and was born in 1265 and died in 1321. His major work is Divine Comedy. So he is an Italian poet and talks about some spiritual and literary genres. And in the next line he is saying that meditate with Khayyam. Khayyam was a Persian mathematician, astronomer and philosopher and poet also, who was born in 1448 and died in 1131, and he was a great mathematician and astronomer also. Or sing with Ghalib, the anguish of love. Ghalib, when we talk about Ghalib, Ghalib was a prominent Urdu poet in the last years of Mughal Empire. Or drown with Li Po, kissing the moon's reflection in the river. Li Po was a Chinese poet in Tang dynasty and who scaled the poetry to a great heights. So the poet here mentions the most prominent authors or poets or mathematicians, philosophers of past, and he says that those people who are mistaken and misinformed, they want me to linger on with these above mentioned writers or authors. They call me in the next messenger, he's saying that they call me Indo-Anglian. It's true, I write in English. Now he is clarifying the situation of himself, and he is saying that it is true that I write in English and I dream in the language of Shakespeare and Keats, but I am not an Anglo, my friend. He in a very simple words he is saying that oh my friends, I am not an Anglo. Although I write in English, although I dream in the language of Shakespeare and Keats, who are very prominent writers of English literature, but I am a poet after all. I have lived 40 centuries under various names. This indicates the classical golden period of English literature, and he is saying in the last lines, he is forcefully and very impressively says that I am now Amanuddin. So this poem is a very this poem very much clearly depicts the aggression, the repression of anger of the poet being called as Indo-Anglian. This poem, if we talk about the poem, The poem begins with utter dissatisfaction and disappointment. The most remarkable thing in this poem that marks the poet's style is his audacity to challenge the linguistic norms. It seems like he exploits them in a rage against their non acceptability. It is he does not belong to them, then their rules do not belong to him. The sense of loss of belongingness haunts his identity, but ends in victorious chant when Amanuddin finds his identity as a poet. So, this poem is a part of the ever ongoing discussion on whether an Indian should write in English when he or she has the wealth of his or her own mother tongue available. The complete absence of punctuation in the entire poem shows strongly the urgency to vent out his aggression and frustration that he has been undergoing for a long time, and he did not digest the type of segregation that is bestowed upon him. So that's all about the poem. Thank you all.